chapter 12, verse 42, it says, "And the Lord said, Who then is a faithful and wise servant or steward, whom his master will make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of food in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master will find him doing when he comes." So this is talking about the return of the Lord, or coming into the presence of the Lord. And here's the thing, whether we're here when Jesus comes back, or whether we die here, our heart stops, in both cases, we're going to stand before Jesus. So basically, when you talk about the return of the Lord, it's an event, and those that are here are going to be judged the same way as those whose heart stops and they come before the Lord. So here it's saying, whoever's faithful and wise steward, he'll make ruler over all of his goods and give him their rewards. Blessed is that servant who is Master Jesus will find him doing when he comes or when he meets him, right? He said, "Truly I say to you, he will make him ruler over all that he has. But if that servant says in his heart," now they have a relationship, right? "My master is delaying," and he begins to beat male servants and female servants, to eat, drink, and be drunken, the master of that servant will come on a day when he's not looking for him, and at an hour when he's not aware, will cut him in two and appoint his portion with the unbeliever. So basically what Jesus is saying here, if somebody over time is not enduring and walking the walk and reverts back to their older life, they revert back to what they did before they were saved, they started to do things that the sinners would do, they will lose their salvation. They will be appointed with the unbeliever. So what Jesus is telling us here is that we are not once saved, always saved. Jesus is telling us that it's an endurance race. You live this life sanctifying your mind, renewing your mind, walking in obedience all the way from the new birth until your heart stops or you meet Jesus. That's what he's saying. He goes on to say, "And that servant who knew to do his master's will, and one did not prepare himself or do according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes or judged harshly. But he who did not know, yet committed these things, deserving of stripes, shall be beaten with a few." And again, we see this in Matthew chapter 11, where Jesus said, "Chorazin and Bethsaida, if you guys seen the mighty works which were done in you, if Sodom and Gomorrah seen it, they would have repented long ago and wouldn't have that same judgment. But your judgment," labeled believers, those that label themselves as Christians but really aren't, they're the ones in Matthew chapter 7 that says, "Not everyone that says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father." They will say, "Lord, didn't we cast out demons and prophesy and do all these many wonderful works in your names?" Jesus said, "I'll declare to them, I never knew you." They lived their entire life in deception. They lived deceived that they were good with God, that they were saved, that they knew the word of God, but all the time they knew the word of God and they didn't walk in it. They thought they did, but they didn't. And that's the trouble I think that we have today. Many think they're walking in the word, but they're not. They're walking in a version of it. They're working in part of it. They're not walking in all of it. God expects us to deny ourselves, pick up our cross, sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice this life, lose this life, and follow him. And most of us aren't doing that. Most of the body of believers on the earth that identify as Christians aren't doing that. Most of them are accommodating the world in their life. And so as we read on, look at what he says. "But he that knew to do but he who did not know, yet committed these things, deserving of stripes, shall be beaten with a few. For everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required, and to whom much has been committed, him God will ask the more." So when you look at this, it's basically telling us that we're judged based on knowledge, on experience, and on understanding. Jesus prayed for those putting nails in his hands and forgave the woman caught in adultery because they didn't know what they were doing. This is speaking to those that do know what they're doing and don't do it. In other words, they knew to do his will, but they didn't do it. And so they will suffer with the unsaved. And so that's our message for today. Thank you for watching. I ran over. Please share, follow, and like this teaching. Please become a free member on our website. The website's in the description of your teaching, watchersotruth.com. Just hit it. Become a free member. You'll get 2 sets of emails a week with notes and 1 blog that covers news, finance, and politics every Friday morning. It's free to you. We don't give your name and number and other information to anybody else. And then please pray about becoming a partner for $25 or more a month. We're praying for 400 partners. Help become an answer to that prayer by becoming one piece of those that share in the fruit of what we're doing, teaching the unedited Word of God, giving curriculums away. Everything we do, we give away. We don't sell anything. Become a partner.